The decision I'm about to make, is this bringing me closer to my goal or farther away from my goal? And if your decision is farther away, don't do it.
If you got something, let it rip.
I'm never going to do this again.
Everybody grapples with this idea that you're really a fraud.
Like, I'm alive.
And that's when it clicked with me. And I thought, these are not superheroes. These are just men that can do super things.
This is Matt Del Negro, and you are listening to the new stripped down 10,000 No's. Today's episode is a throwback to the long-form conversations I started this podcast with back in 2017. So what you're hearing is a raw, unscripted conversation with someone I've worked with, someone I've known, or been inspired by in some way. If you like what you hear, you may also be interested in my working actors community, where I have conversations like this every week with artists just like you and bring in an industry VIP every month to join us. So for now, enjoy the conversation, but if you want to be a part of the working actors community, stick around to the end to find out how.
What we do here is go back.
Okay, so anybody, welcome back to the show. If you're watching, we got Chazz Palminteri with us today, and the way this came about, it was an incoming call, and every once in a while you get a call from a legend, and you go, oh shit, I got an email in my inbox. They want me to interview Chazz Palminteri. Yeah, I'm in. And the funny thing about it, and I'm just going to say this to all the young actors that listen, I'm going to throw Bryce, who's in our working actors community, I'm going to throw him under the bus. He helps me with the podcast. And I said, oh, I got Chazz Palminteri next week. And he goes, oh, okay, cool. And we started talking. I said, I got Chazz Palminteri. You've seen A Bronx Tale, right? And he goes, I don't know if I saw that. So long story short, I go, Bronx Tale. I go, Chazz Palminteri is nominated for an Academy Award for Bullets Over Broadway. I mean, he's an analyst. I'm like, Chazz Palminteri. And he goes, what year? I go, Bronx Tale. It was 1993. He goes, Matt, I was born in 1992. And I go, oh shit, I feel old. So
yeah.
So there's so many things I want to hit on in talking to you. And everybody, if you don't know who Chazz Palminteri is, and you're an actor and you're a writer, or you're a writer actor, please do me a favor and hit pause and go fucking Google him and look up what the man has done and how telling his story has been instrumental in putting him on the map in this crazy business. So that's kind of number one. Go do your homework. Here's the thing. I watched A Bronx Tale, Chazz, back in the day in the theater. I was still in college, I think, and it hit me. And then for this interview, I watched it again, and it was literally a link that was sent to me. I watched it on my laptop. So usually you watch a movie on your laptop, it's not going to necessarily hit you. Let me tell you, my dad, he just turned 88. He's born and raised in the Bronx, Morris Park Avenue section. He's not doing so well. And I watched your film, which is based on your one-man show, which we're going to get into because that's coming out for everybody. Just so you know, it's going to be on Amazon Prime. It's going to be in theaters. It's going to be on demand starting January 28th. So after you hear the conversation, you're going to definitely go watch that, and then you're going to go watch the movie. I watched the movie again, and just with everything that's going on and being older and, kind of seeing my dad in this state, it just crushed me. Like I stayed through the credits on my laptop. My wife was asleep in bed and I'm watching with my headphones on, and I couldn't stop all the way through the full credits. And I was laughing at times because it's really, I forgot how funny it is.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining. The music's amazing. And I was just crushed because it's really underneath it all. It's a story about fathers and sons and about this kind of mentor, surrogate father. And maybe instead of me kind of, telling everybody, why don't you give everyone the origin of it? Because I've read what I've read on Wikipedia about kind of what prompted you to start writing this. And it might be bullshit for all I know, something about you stopping someone as a bouncer. Give us bring us back to the time when you were a struggling actor and because a lot of people that listen to the show, that's what they, they're doing this, and it's a 10,000 no's. That's the name of the show. We're all getting crushed every day, and we got to that's just the necessary price of admission. Right. So maybe walk everyone through, because I think it'll inspire people to hear what you did with your story.
Yeah. Well, okay. I was obviously, I always wanted to write and I wanted to act, ever since I was a little boy. And what happened was, when I got 18, I sang with a doo-wop group on the corner. I'm going to take you right through, but I'm going to be quick. And I sang with a doo-wop group. And then I started singing with a band back in the 60s, the late 60s. And my career as a singer, when I say took off in a way where I made a good living. It wasn't famous, but it was a very good, I was in a band, worked in Vegas, but my heart was always into acting and writing. But even though I was making money as a singer, supporting myself, then finally when I auditioned, I got into the Actors Studio when I was back from the road. Lee Strasberg himself said to me, if you don't make a decision, you'll just always go on the road. He goes, if you want to be a real actor and writer, you got to starve. And I'll never forget that. And I said, well, and I left music in 79. And I started studying and working on my craft and working even harder, working at the Actors Studio, I remember. And finally, I got a part, I got a understudy part in 1982. And this takes us up to the point where everything starts at Bronx Tale. I got a part in 1982 as an understudy on Broadway. And the name of the show was The Guys in the Truck, with Elliot Gould and a few other people. And I was very excited. And it's a funny story. That's why I want to tell you this, and you'll appreciate it, Matt. And all my friends, the wise guys, said, hey, we want to come and see you in the show. And I said, well, you can't. And they said, why not? And I said, well, I'm an understudy. And they said, well, I don't understand. What's an understudy? They didn't know. I said, well, if something happens to the guy, then I go on. They said, oh. And I forgot about what I just said to him. About 20 minutes later, he calls me over and he says, do you want to go on? And I said, what? He said, my hand to God. He goes, you want to go on? I said, no. Oh, God, no. And he said, don't worry, we'll make it look like a mugging. Nobody's going to know. And I said, please don't do anything, please. And I remember that night when I went to the show as an understudy, I'm sure, you have to watch the show to make sure you know your lines if anything happens. And I watched the show and I saw this guy. I'll never forget who he was, and he was a real asshole to me. And I just looked at him and I said, babe, you don't know how lucky you are, man. You don't know how lucky you are. And anyway, I had to tell that story because it's the wise guys always come in my life somehow. Yeah. And I left and I went to LA and I kept studying. And then I left in 85 to go to LA. And I auditioned. I really was getting parts like, boom, Hill Street Blues, Dallas, Matlock, a miniseries, Peter Gunn. And I accumulated some money to live when I didn't get any parts anymore for a while. Then I ran out of money in 89 because I was supporting myself with all the money I saved. And I got a job as a doorman because that's what I did in New York. And one night I'm working as a doorman and this guy comes up and he's really very nasty to me. And he wants to get in, but the ropes are there. And he said to me, do you know who I am? I said, yes, I know who you are. You are the asshole that's not getting in tonight. And he got really upset with that. And he said to me, you'll be fired in 15 minutes. And I said, yeah, all right. And 15 minutes later, I was fired, just like he said. And the guy was Swifty Lazar, who was the biggest agent in the world at the time. William Morris, who I'm still with. And,
you're still with them? That's good.
And he fired me, and he got me fired. And I went home, I sat at the edge of my bed, and I said, what the hell am I going to do in my life? I had $200 left in the bank. I didn't know if I should go back to New York. I ran out of all this. I ran out of what did I save. I saved about $8,000. I lived on that for a couple of years, but I was empty, you know. And then I looked on the refrigerator door, and there was the card that I taped there. My father's card. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And I said, well, you know what? If they won't give me a great part, then I'll write one myself. So I got in my car. I was in LA. I went to Thrifty Drugstore. I got five, and I still use it today. I always make my notes on legal paper, yellow legal paper.
That must be a Bronx thing. That's what my dad does.
I always make my notes before I write my screenplay, what I'm going to talk about, and I frame it out on the paper first. And I wrote the monologue of A Bronx Tale, and just that. And then I performed it, and they loved it. And then I kept writing every day. And then I would perform it on Monday nights. So I really was workshopping it. So by the end of a year, it was like really, really tight. And then I borrowed some money from a friend, and I put it up, and Matt, my life just, I went from an unknown to like, bam, the reviews and everything. It was like, this was 1989. It was like scary. And I started getting offered all this money, and the first offer was $250,000. But they didn't want me. They didn't want me. They didn't even want me to write it. They just wanted the rights to my story, and I refused. And they said, "Well, then forget it." And I said, "Okay." And I kept doing it. I thought about that 250. That was the hardest offer to refuse. Was the first one.
Yeah.
So it came out of nowhere, 250. Wow. And then about 3 weeks later, I got offered 500,000.
Holy shit. And how old are you? 36, 37, something like that?
38.
38. Okay.
38. Well, 37. 37, I was going to be 38.
And you're piss poor at this point, and you're
Piss
saying
poor.
no. Great.
$200 in the bank, 38 years old, going to be 38. No money in the bank, no health insurance, nothing.
Good for you.
Living in a dump on 11134 Aqua Vista. I'll never forget the address. Living in this, you know, those motels, it looks like if a guy's on a lam, that's where he goes.
Yeah.
You know, he's hiding from the law. And I was living there for 2 years. And I just said, I'm not doing it, man. I said, I got to be in this thing. And again, they walked away, and I said, I don't care. Then about 3 weeks later, I'm doing the show, and I finish, and the stage manager walks over to me. He goes, you know, standing ovation every night, crazy audiences. And he said to me, Robert De Niro's in your dressing room. He just saw the show. He's waiting for you. And I was like, Robert De Niro? They said, yeah. I said, wow, I thought he was kidding or something, you know. I walked into the dressing room, and there was De Niro sitting there. And he raved about the show, told me how great it was and great story. And he goes, you did a movie on stage all alone. I said, yeah. He goes, how'd you do that? I said, I don't know. It was this idea I had, Bob, about clapping my hands, about cutting, you know. And he said, look, I want to do this. And he says, I know what you're going through. And he said to me, if you sell it, they're going to come to me anyway. He goes, so we might as well control it and do it, you and me. And he goes, and I'll give you my word, you could play Sonny and you could write the screenplay. And he said, if you shake my hands, that's the way it'll be. And I shook his hand, and that's what happened. That's
wow.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was just saying that, I forgot that was his directorial debut. It's great, I mean, the music, the cuts, even the like the opening sequence with the music, it's like bop, 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 bop. And you guys have those kind of like of the guys jumping, like hopping on each other.
Yeah.
And like, it just, there's like an immediate visceral, just fucking entering the Bronx that happens. And you suck us into the movie. You get the great voiceover, and it's just, and the story, the structure of the story, and I actually I'll shut up for a second because I want to hear the rest of what you're saying. I'll give you this.
And that's really how it happened.
It's amazing. Like you know, this podcast, the whole thing is about kind of letting people know they're not alone if they're out there getting, pummeled. They're an actor, they're a writer, a director. And I have this little kind of like virtual group off of it, and I mentor these young actors, and I'm always telling them, you gotta create your own opportunities. But like you are one of, when I think of like when I was coming up, there were 3 actors that wrote their story and put themselves on the map. There were more than that, but the ones in my mind are always you, Stallone, and Billy Bob with Sling Blade.
Yes.
You guys did, and Stallone did it, what, 76? You did it 88. The movie came out in 93. I can't remember. Sling Blade was 90.
It happens once every 15 years. He did it 86. I did it 89.
Well, guess what? Maybe this is cosmic because I've got a screenplay of it's not my story. It's a underneath it is my story, but I got something I'm trying to make this year.
As a one-person show?
No, it's not. It's a film, but I'm going to make it as like a down and dirty indie, like $500,000. I started writing it years ago. I've rewritten, but I'm constantly preaching to people, and I finally turned it on myself and said, you got to do this yourself. But I look at you and I think like, you not only did you go do it, just start writing on the legal pad, like it doesn't matter. I always say that you don't need final draft. You just need a story. You need to do it. And you did it. And then to hear that from you, I do remember at the time, like you did explode on the scene from my perspective. Yeah. But to hear it from you, like going through it from that point, and to hear you go like, yeah, shit, Robert De Niro's out there, like I didn't believe them, is funny because when I met you, it was you on screen in this film. So,
Yeah, just so you know, when I originally said, if they won't give me a great part, I'll write one myself. I wrote it to showcase myself because I couldn't get an agent. I wanted to get I wrote it to get an agent.
Yeah. and you got a life on it, like a whole career.
And I went, and without bragging, I'm the only person ever to write the one-person show starring it, write the movie script starring it, write the musical starring it, and write the one-person show again as a film starring it. That started from a 5-minute monologue.
That's amazing. I mean, that is like the living embodiment of everything that this whole podcast, this book is all about. It's like it's put one foot in front of the other, and then all of a sudden you look up and you go, oh shit, look what I traveled. But you really did it. I mean,
yes, but in fairness to everyone else who watches your show, Matt, and that is in fairness to all the actors and writers and directors out there, when you tell them, put your life, create your own work or create that, it's not just that, because some people can't. Some people can't write their own work, or they can't act, or they can't do what you're doing and I'm doing, and that is write and be in it. In fairness to them. So I say that doesn't mean but not do anything. That means show up. And I tell actors, they don't get it. I tell actors when I teach my master class, I do two classes a year in New York, and I'm going to do one in LA, in fact. And I say to them, your network is your net worth. Always remember that. The more you network, the more you meet people, the more opportunities will come to you. It's that simple. Nobody's going to knock on your door and go, hey, Matt, I got the script for you. It's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen. They say, what's the secret to success, Chazz? And I tell people, and I'll tell your people out there, there's 3 things. Show up. Just like I said, 85% of life is showing up. Be good at what you do and be well liked. You can't fail.
Yeah.
You can't. It's impossible to fail. Because if you're so good at what you do and you're well liked, and you show up, people will go, man, this guy's good, man. I gotta hire. And people who audition for me, if they don't get the part, I turn to my assistant and say, mark this guy down. Mark him down. I'm going to come back and look at him for another film one day. So now that actor, and I speak to the men and women out there on your podcast, you go out, you go home, you didn't get a call back. You go, oh, shit. Man, he didn't like me. No.
Right.
No, I liked you more. You were the best actor that came, but you're not right for this part. You see, you're not right for this part. So that's what actors have to, put in their head. Just do the audition. And I love the name of your podcast, 10,000 No's.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's
It's funny how it came about. It was, I don't have to go the whole thing, but I thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's great.
Yeah, the other thing I'm thinking, just speaking to the audience out there is like, I've had I'm a lot older than you were when you wrote A Bronx Tale. I've been kind of like a closet writer for a long time, made a short film a while ago, but this thing that I wrote now that I'm really excited about, it's finally, like, I feel like it's ready and I'm really excited. It's, when I think of like your story, that is actually just like an amazing story. Like, and you could tell me from all the press, it's that you actually did witness this murder. For those of you that don't know it, it's basically Chazz as a kid witnessing this murder and everything ensues. That's the inciting incident. But like, if you're out there and you're like me and you go, yeah, I think my life's interesting, but like, it's not like an opera like Chazz's story. Well, I have my thing, it's called Mickey Brash, is basically I took an aspect of myself, but I infused it into this other world and this character that's like a kind of a more exaggerated, way more exaggerated, hopefully, version than of me. But your story, I just want to remark on this because I had seen it so long ago and loved it, but didn't remember the details. And there was a moment at the end when you're in the bar, and where C is in the bar, and he's looking at he's looking at you, the actor, but you're not playing yourself. And he notices the other kid not smiling coming across, and I'm going, oh, I remember this, and he's gonna, I remember, but I forgot that that's the son of the guy that got killed in the beginning, that you witnessed the murder. And I was like, just story-wise,
right,
whether or not that happened in real life, but I just thought, what a beautiful elliptical story on top of everything else. I was already satisfied. And then that little detail was like, wow, the thing that set this whole thing off in the first place, really, the fact that you didn't rat him out, you didn't rat Sonny out, and then you have this whole relationship with the whole thing, and then it all ends when that guy's offspring comes back and kills him. It was like just a beautiful little screenplay structure thing that I was like, wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I mean, look, as any writer, you embellish things.
Yeah.
You embellish it, and you have the scene where the lineup, when they bring me upstairs, when they come upstairs, and I never went down to witness a lineup. The cops came up, they knocked on the door, but I never went down. My father wouldn't let me go. He said, he's not going down. He didn't see anything. And I said, everything upstairs. Excuse me. I said everything upstairs. But as a writer, as a dramatist, I said, I think I'm going to have him face Sonny face to face. So I wrote the line up there. But the reality was, I never went downstairs. But when they came down, Sonny knew that I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because the neighbors were out when the cops came up.
Well, that is a great thing to bring up to anybody who's writing, which is like, I did this where I was adapting a friend of mine's story. He got this incredible story, New York City firefighter, this whole thing. And he has a book, and we were kind of it's on ice right now, but we were adapting it. And one of the problems I had was that I knew him so well and
Right.
his story so well that I was kind of handcuffed by the real guy. Whereas at one point we brought in an outside writer friend who's a playwright and she's amazing. And she did some things with the story where I was like, my first reaction was like, well, no, that didn't happen. And it's like, oh no, yeah, that's better. Like that's
Yes.
going to tell the story.
Yes.
Who cares what really happened? How do you make the story hit people?
Right. Exactly. When Sonny got whacked at the end, I came in after he was already dead. He was already dead when I came in.
Yeah.
I missed it by 5 minutes. But as a dramatist, I made it where I saw him.
Yeah.
It happened in front of me, you see.
Oh, and it really, when I knew the story, I know the story. I've seen the film. I've seen the film multiple times, but I haven't seen it in a while. And still you're watching and even just cutting to the kid, cutting back to Sonny, cutting to the slow-mo of him laughing and going, and cutting to Caligero, it's really, it's awesome. And just to get to the heart of what got me, and I guess this is based on your dad, and it really, it reminded me of my dad. My dad is, grew up in the Bronx, not a tough guy, but a tough guy in his own way. He was an attorney.
my
He
fault.
fought,
Yeah.
he fought, Medicaid fraud. He kind of like, he
Right,
battled some battles, but wasn't like a bruiser. But he was a guy who is just very principled and very, there were a lot of De Niro's character, your dad. There were echoes of my dad. And then what I also love that you did though, and it's in the stage play as well, because it's all the source material. It's, different aspects of the same story. But what I love that you did is in the beginning, you set it up like, your dad is right and just, and Sonny is kind of, is he going to be this loose, fast guy who's going to screw with the kid? And as the story goes on, I love the nuance of these two mentors and two fathers, and they're both great mentors, and they both serve a different purpose.
That's correct.
And,
They're both telling me the same exact thing.
yeah, because Sonny was the guy who said, "Hey, get your shit together. Don't go with the neighborhood guys.
Exactly.
There's school out here. So it was. It's a beautifully nuanced story about fathers and sons and mentors and I think that now having my own kids, it probably hit me differently also because now I'm a father. Back when I watched it before, I didn't have kids yet. So when you have the thing where your son has a coach that they love and you're like psyched for him, and you're also like, oh well, like, what about me? I'm the guy who gives you the advice.
How old are your children now?
My son's 17, my daughter's 14.
Oh, it's perfect. You got to make them watch the movie.
Yeah, no, trust me. I said, but also because they've seen, been with me to the rehab center to see my dad, and like I said, it's not, it's a tough. We're at a tough period right now, and I think just. I said to them both, I said, I watched this thing. I'm interviewing this guy. They don't know anything about anything. And I go, I'm interviewing this guy. I said, it's about the Bronx where Grandpa grew up. And it got me. It really got me because it reminded me a lot of Grandpa. And I want them to see it. It also, it's got there's such a throwback vibe to it. And I kind of want to also get into before, I know we'll be talking for a little bit more, but I want to get into the one man show aspect because I really want people, especially actors, go watch the movie's awesome. And I think De Niro crushed it as a director and as an actor.
Yes.
You acting like it's a really well made film, and the all of it, the choices, the music, the cuts, the whole thing. But I also want actors to go watch the one man show to see where it came from, and to see what you can do. Like I'll be honest with you, Chazz. I have never seen your show live. I've heard about it forever, and when I watched it, I thought you were going to be on, like, I've heard about it for years. Oh, Chazz Palminteri plays 37 characters or whatever it is. And I thought you were going to be on a set that looks like the street.
No.
And I thought it was going to be a lot more like production bells and whistles. And when I saw just like a blue curtain and you and a chair, I was like, huh, okay, this is interesting. Let me see if he can pull me in. And starts out and you're like, I just saw the movie. So you're already up against it because you're up against all the music, all the cuts, all the cinematography. And just little by little, I just get sucked in and you're just like, it's a seamless performance. And you could see you're having fun. At one point, someone heckles from the crowd. I don't know if he was planted, but you shot right back at him. It was awesome.
It goes to show you that a good story is a good story, no matter how you do it, you know. And people who see the movie, the musical, the one-man show, people love the one-man show the most because I am Calogero. I am the guy. And by seeing it on screen now, you see it different. See, if you come and see it live, and even in the film, it's a very visceral effect. Because I am Sonny, I am Calogero, I am Lorenzo. So when I tell you about something, you go, oh shit. He's the guy who just said, he was there when the guy said, now you can't leave. You know, he was sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's this feeling. And let me tell you something, Matt, and you know, as an actor, when I do it, as soon as it starts, there's this feeling that comes over me. It's like it goes down to the top of my head. It's like a light from God. And then when I'm finished, I'm still in some sort of a trance. I don't even know which way to go as my dressing room. And I have my assistant there. She goes, this way, this way, this way. And then I sit down and about 5 minutes later, I feel back. But before that, I'm gone. I'm gone.
So I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to ask you, you have done this, how many times approximately have you performed?
1,150.
Holy shit. 1,150
shows. Yes.
That's all told. That's including the ones like in the 80s before it was on Broadway, kind of?
Yes, including.
Okay. So, this is good. All right. So when you are in there, I'm sure there got to be nights when you're not dropped in, or are you always in that state that you're talking about where you always feel like you're in the zone, or are there nights where it's work and you're slogging through it?
No.
Never.
Always in the zone. Always.
Wow. That is, now I wonder, we don't have the answer, but I wonder if some of that is because it is your story where it's slightly different than when you're doing someone else's play. Because, I've done plays where like you have a night where you're just on fire and you're just boom. And like what you described. And then I've done plays where I'm like, I'm in my head and shit, where's my father sitting and my brother sitting?
Yes.
That's interesting.
You can't. And I'll tell you the reason why. When you do a one-person show and when you play all the parts, there is no time to take a break mentally.
Yeah.
There's no time. Because when I say something, I have to be the other character saying something back to you. I have no time to think about what am I eating.
It's almost better, Chazz. It's almost better in a way. Like it's like more fun. It's like you're always in the game. You're always.
You have to. You got no choice. If you try to sly off, where a few times you go up. Nobody will know you went up.
Yeah.
Nobody will know it, but you could feel you have to switch and come back again. It's the only time where it was difficult for me difficult to do the show is when I just finished doing the musical on Broadway. Because there I just played Sonny. So I remember a week after I did the musical, when the musical was over, I did the one-person show. And I said a line and I waited.
Oh, yeah, you got.
The first night I did, I waited and I went, oh shit. I'm Lorenzo too. So then it was like weird, man. It was
Yeah.
like surreal. But then after a couple of times, I was fine.
Yeah. And do you get I mean, do you get jittery before you go out ever, or are you always just dropped in before the curtain goes up?
No, it just drops in.
Yeah.
I'm in the zone, man. I'm in the zone.
It's so cool. It's great.
Freedom, because I know the material works. I know when they're about to laugh. I know when they're going to laugh. I know every little thing I do is so choreographed and so worked on for 1,100 something performances. I know I have them in the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
I just know it.
And when you did this version that's coming out on Amazon and in the theaters, I'm just curious logistically for anybody, if people are still watching now, they want to see the behind the scenes stuff and you could tell or not tell. Is it literally just filming a one-man show that night? Or do you guys come in, like I thought I noticed one time, and maybe it's just choreographed, where Sonny is talking to C, but he's almost talking, it's like you're talking down the barrel of the either you were down the barrel or maybe slightly off, but it felt like you were looking right at me.
Right.
Is that all pre-planned, or do you go do the show and then
That's
you do pickup
pre-planned.
shots?
That's pre-planned. First, I do the show.
Yeah.
Very choreographed, very pre-planned. And then I shot the show live, and then I have 2 days of going over things I want to make even better, tighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I shot it all, and then in the editing room, you put it all together.
Yeah. And then you could come in for mediums and tighter shots. And yeah. I was curious about that. I was just like, oh, I wonder if they must have, because there was just that one section I just noticed. I was like, oh, I don't know if he would be looking right down here while he's got the show going. But it's cool. Like what you did with this that I think is cool for people that are watching. It's not just like it's not like you're just seeing like a camera on sticks in the back of an audience watching a guy do a one-man show. It is its own filmic experience.
I made a point because I directed it. I told the cinematographers, I said, look, I want to shoot this like it's a movie. It's not a one-person show.
Yeah.
So I wanted to cut to Sonny, to the kid, to Sonny, to Lorenzo, back to... I mean, wait till you see keep watching because it gets even more crazy. You'll see, I don't have to tell you. The scene between Carmine and the kid at the end is when I watch it, I go, Jesus God.
Oh, okay. Wait. Is it the fight with her sister, her brother, or
at the very end at the coffin?
Oh, with Carmine, with Pesci's character.
With Pesci's character and with the father at the end.
Yeah. By the way, that was awesome too, in terms of like the elliptical nature of how you put the story structure together, and he comes back, and then the whole thing about when he goes, what is it? C looks up at him and goes, so did you really kill a guy? Did he really kill a guy over a parking spot? And he just goes, nope, and he doesn't answer. He doesn't say what it was, but he says no.
No, he won't.
And he
my father never told me either. And my father died at 90 years old, and he never told me.
Really?
Yeah. He wouldn't tell me. And I kept trying to get the answer why. And he would speak in non sequiturs. He would say, what do you want to know for? Why? It can only get you in trouble. I go, Dad, it's 60 years ago. What's the big... you don't want to know. Never ask for shit like that. That's bullshit. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, but before I let you go, what your relationship with your dad, just because I don't know if you probably don't even know this. I have a book, 10,000 No's, as well, and I kind of forgot this, but as I was watching the scene where C gets in the 9-year-old C gets in the bus after the lineup, I think it is. He gets in the bus with his dad, and he and De Niro go to City Island, and they get out. And that conversation about wasted talent, could I be a pro baseball player? I have that in my book.
Wow.
I was watching, I go, holy shit, I have that. I have a snippet of your screenplay in my book. And
Yeah.
I thought that was because I love that concept of like wasted talent. It's like, hey, I literally just told my daughter this the other day. We're taking her from volleyball practice, and I said, look, you got some ability, but honestly, like ability is like a sliver of the pie. It's a sliver you want to have. It's a nice sliver to have. But I said, you're in ninth grade. I said, trust me, by the time you're a senior, do you know how many people are dropping off because they don't have the drive or they get distracted or
Yeah.
they whatever. And it's the same thing with this business. And that's kind of, your dad, you really think about it, it's like that philosophy is responsible for all of this success that you've had because you had this talent of telling stories and you told them. You told it and you told it and you told it in
Yeah.
multiple forms,
Yeah, both my sisters were very successful because he told them the same story. He put the card in their room too, and I put the card in my two children's room. My son is 28, my daughter is 22. Both graduated from prestigious colleges. Both are in London right now doing a musical. They're both singer actors, and they both got a part in the same musical, and they're both in London for one night only. They're doing this big performance of a musical there, and I can't be there because I have to do I'm performing. I mean, I'm doing the music. My wife is going, but it was their mantra: "Don't waste your talent." My son went to Berklee School of Music in Boston, and
Yeah.
my daughter graduated University of Michigan, the theater program. So they're both, you put that mantra in them. I said, look, a lot of talented people never make it. It's the work ethic, it's discipline, talent. You got to put it all together. And I drilled it into their head, and obviously it worked a little bit.
That's awesome. Chazz, I'm so grateful that Caitlin reached out to me and that this, we were able to have this conversation.
No.
It's you've inspired so many people over the years. I'm glad that in some way I kind of just like, got in your path today. And
Yeah.
it's really like I'm grateful for the story you put out. Yeah, we didn't even get to, like, I mean, we didn't even get to like your Usual Suspects. I mean, what another great film that you're
Yeah,
like,
that's okay.
the
That's
whole
okay.
thing. But I'm appreciative that you came and kind of graced my audience with your wisdom because you got a lot of it. And it's like, it's not bullshit wisdom. It's
No,
hard
try
fought,
not.
hard earned in the streets, on the path, like walking the walk that you talk.
Right.
And it's really refreshing. And, I appreciate it. I really, I'm so
You're
glad
very
you got to sit down with
and
us.
and why I love the title of your book, 10,000 No's, because when I do a master class, I tell the actors and writers, they go, "Oh, I had 40 auditions, nothing, all no's," and I said, "Look," I said, "How about?" I said, "Here's the attitude you got to have," and this is what I tell them. I said, "How about if I tell you?" Your next 50 auditions, they're going to say no. But the 51st, they're going to say yes. And the guy looks at me and I go, okay, picture you went out on audition right after you leave here. And they say no. How are you going to feel? He goes, well, I'll feel like I'm not much closer. I go, yeah, that's right. Just 49 more no's and you're going to hit it. That's the attitude you got to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you. It's funny. I wasn't going to tell you in the beginning. We got a couple of minutes. I'll just give you the way
No,
this
all right, go ahead.
the way this thing came about, that title. It was like 2012, 2013, something like that. I'm living in LA. My buddy Billy Tangradi, he's a little younger than me. He and I did a play when he just got out of theater school. I was in New York. I was just like doing Sopranos. We did a play together, stayed friends, whatever. We're out west. I was working, I was working. It was like it looked okay from the outside, but it was as you know, because you had this
God,
period. It was
oh,
like I was struggling, and I mean
absolutely.
that's like the whole, most of the time I would feel like I'm like
Yes,
hanging on by my fingernails.
yes, absolutely.
And so his parents are out from Philly, and his dad, and I had just read Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, and Malcolm Gladwell talks about the theory of 10,000 hours, how like the
Yes,
Beatles, they rehearsed so much by the time they went out, and like Bill Gates with the computer and access,
yes,
all that. So that was in my head. And Billy's dad goes, "How's it going, Matt? How's it going?" I say, "Good, yeah, kind of. I'm working, I'm doing this. I did a guest spot on this or whatever." And he goes, "How many auditions do you think you've had?" And I go, "Huh." And I literally I go, "Let's see. I moved to the city January 1st, 1995. It's now 2012." I go, "I don't know, 10,000? 10,000 no?" Or he said, like, "How many times you've been told no?" or something. I was like, 10,000. And I was kind of joking. That was like 2012. I did the podcast in 2017, and I was like, this is what I've got. This is what it's got to be. It's got to be 10,000 no's. Like, this
wow,
is the story I'm trying to say, which is it's the price of admission. You want to do
yes,
this, you got to be willing to get pummeled and come
right,
back up to the plate.
right. If you don't have that, and I tell actors and people, writers, if you don't have that desire that I have to do this or I'll die, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You're better off. You're better off finding something else that you like. I never discourage people, but I tell them, unless you have that desire that I will die if I don't do this, which I had. I knew this was it for me. I was 38. I'm going in all the way, man. And it worked out okay. But
Yeah.
you got to have that desire. The business is too hard. It will crumble you and spit you out. And then what people don't realize, making it is incredibly hard. Staying there is even harder, even harder, because that's when all the discipline comes in. You don't have to get up to work. You don't have to write. You don't have to go look for a job. Everything comes to you. And that's how you get yourself in trouble. You fuck up your marriage, you fuck everything up. So I'm here now, and I'm still relevant because of my discipline, because of my faith in God, and because of my decisions I always make. And if you don't believe in God, that's fine. If you don't have no belief, that's fine. But you have to say to yourself, I would say, the decision I'm about to make, is this bringing me closer to God or farther away? And if the answer was farther away, most of the time, not all the time, I didn't do it. But you have to say, a person who's not religious, the decision I'm about to make, is this bringing me closer to my goal or farther away from my goal? And if your decision is farther away, don't do it. Drugs, alcohol, gambling, cheating on your wife. Look, I'm no saint, brother. I'm a work in progress like everybody else. But I learned through suffering. You make a decision that's farther away from your goal, you went, oh shit, what did I do? You don't do it no more. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. I know it sounds simple, but it's not. But it's not. Because we all are works in progress, and we all are fluid. All of us. But just try to stay on the right side of the mountain. That's all it is, bro.
What a beautiful dose of wisdom to end with. I'm a talker, and I just had to shut myself up and let you talk because that was beautiful. That's
Oh, listen to me, and I say this, you're very good at what you do. And I tell people the three keys, obviously you follow them. The three keys in life to be successful is show up. 85% of life is showing up. Be good at what you do and be well liked. If you can do those three things, You got it. You'll make it. In some degree, you will definitely make it. Look, does everybody make it like I did in Stallone? No. But then there's a level. Does everybody make it like Tom Cruise and Jim Carrey and Denzel? No. But there's levels of still making it and working, being a working actor, having a family, having a career. You know,
Yep.
it's not. Look, what happened to me is an aberration. Excuse me. It's an anomaly. It doesn't happen to everybody. It happened. I was at the right place at the right time. I had the right man who was there, who was looking for a movie. He was a great man who respected me and gave me a break. I mean, it's luck, but you got to be ready for it to happen.
All right, that's it. If you dug this clip enough that you want to become a part of this community, just go to 10,000nos.com to join. In the meantime, thank you for listening or watching. We're glad you're here. And remember, failure is just opportunity in disguise. You can flip the script and make your setbacks serve you. See you next time.